Hi, and welcome to the pilot episode of Stitch Stream. I'm Grace. I want this to be a place where we explore trending topics and how we can DIY them, what's trending in the DIY world. If you're here, I assume that you have your own niche that you're interested in. You are looking to get into DIYs, or maybe you just enjoy watching the videos to see what other people are doing and creating. I want to talk about all of that here, and I'm so happy that there is even just one other person who is also interested in exploring what's going on in the world of sewing, crocheting, knitting, woodworking, any DIY that you can name. While my DIY of choice is making my own clothes, I am so interested in learning about other things that people are creating and making. Let's chat about what's trending in the DIY world right now. My personal favorite DIY that came across my phone this week was from Maggie Nelson of Popular Clothing. If you watch any sort of sewing tutorials and videos, perhaps you've seen her. I feel like her videos are well known for, she goes into a thrift store and has some sort of caption like, "When you have Farm Rio taste but a Goodwill budget," which immediately draws your eye in because you know that she wants something beautiful, but she's finding something at Goodwill. What is she going to do? This week, she just released a video that where she was spotlighting some popular brands who are doing sort of this like grandma core tablecloth style where they have this really beautiful embroidery on clothing, and it's supposed to have more of a vintage look, but of course these new pieces are a couple $100 at the minimum. So something that she did was she kind of just posted a tutorial saying, look, it's not that hard, you can do it too. And I really liked that. Something I also appreciate that when you go to her website, I mean, she has millions of followers, millions of views. When you go to her website, she really could be profiting off of all that. And if she does one day, then good for her. I have no objection to that. But I find it interesting that she points people to Etsy creators who have dress patterns and jacket patterns. She's not saying, hey, look, I did this all on my own. She says, look, you can do it just like I did. So I feel like she kind of makes sewing accessible for other people, and I really like that about her. Some Google trends that I saw, I did kind of a deep dive specifically on the term sewing, which on YouTube, sewing had some breakout searches. Its highest searches were in Papua New Guinea and Nigeria by region. The term miniature sewing machine had a rise of 4,600%. For some reason, that search exploded this past week on May 16th, particularly in Slovakia. I would love to know why that blew up. I tried looking into it, but Google Trends doesn't give you an exact backlog of how or what video spiked that search, but I thought that was kind of funny. For crocheting, the top search that was up by 1,350%, with the top searches being in Bolivia, was about capybara crocheting. So that's apparently something that the crochet community is really into right now, is making some sort of capybara pattern. In terms of knitting, the top breakout search was knitting Colt lady. Now, I was looking up these terms because I wanted to get a little more background information if I was able to share, and this one gave me a pause because I didn't know what I was going to find when I looked up knitting Colt lady. I did go ahead and research it, brave it out, and it wasn't bad. This is actually a self-claimed title from Danielle Mestianak Young. She's apparently an author, an Army veteran, and she's a Colt survivor. And I saw her described as an advanced knitter. And it looks like on her website, she releases her own knitting patterns. I'm not sure why she had a recent breakout in searches recently. Perhaps she had some sort of trending video that went out, but I thought that was interesting. I never heard of her. On Pinterest, an outbreak of DIY coffee and dining room table searches have been happening, particularly in New Jersey. Like there was, I want to say like 20% more searches in New Jersey for DIY coffee tables and dining room tables than in any other state or place in the world, at least this past week. So someone over in New Jersey, a couple someones, apparently have a hankering to make their own tables. Some trends that I have been noticing that are coming across my page. Now, I typically make my own clothes. That is, like I said, my top DIY that I partake in. So of course, a lot of the videos that come across my desk are going to be related to that, but I have been seeing so many videos about sewing my own Pinterest board. That has been the title over and over again. I mean, I've been consuming quite a few of these, but one video that actually stuck out to me and has stuck in my mind since I watched it that I felt like took a different approach once you actually got into the video was by a creator named Becca. I will link her YouTube video in the show notes, of course, but I appreciated that in her video, she started off by giving an explanation that sewing and making your own clothing really does take a lot of time and effort. And so she was trying to approach it by making sure that she finds patterns that are for her body type, that fit her well, and she was using the body matrix system. And I think that her approach was original in the fact that she wasn't just sewing things flippantly because they looked good when she pinned them. She actually wanted to make sure that her time and effort was worth it and that she was going to like the finished product. That's definitely something that has inspired my own sewing recently. I just finished a piece that I actually spent some time thinking about the length and the color and the fit and how it would look on my body. Not because I think everyone needs to subscribe to a certain body type or certain dressing necessarily, but because she was so right that sewing does take a lot of time and effort, and there's nothing worse than putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into a DIY project only to realize it doesn't look good in your house like you thought it would. It doesn't fit on your body the way that you want it to. It doesn't hang on your wall quite the way that you had planned. So taking a little more time and having a slower approach to that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about crafting in media. I am so excited to be seeing the trailers. Quilters on Netflix. It's a short documentary about prisoners in a maximum security prison creating quilts to be donated to foster kids in their community. The trailer shows these like prison hardened guys sewing and creating things. It even shows someone in their cell block drawing a quilt pattern. And this was just in the quick trailer that I saw. I haven't been able to watch it myself, but I will definitely be watching that and like doing some sort of reaction video because I find that amazing. I find that for myself, and perhaps this will resonate with someone else who does a lot of DIY projects, that when I complete a project, I feel like it gives me such a sense of purpose. And so to be able to see this new documentary that's highlighting the creation of quilting and how it has been life-changing for some of these men is really, I think it's just such a cool spotlight. So I'm excited to watch that. As far as some things that are trending right now that I think you can make. In fact, I would like to try to make one soon. I do not yet know how to knit and crochet, but I'm going to learn because I need to make one of these bags. I like to look on Harper's Bazaar for inspiration when it comes to style and fashion, and they just, they're a huge fashion publication and they just have their finger on the pulse when it comes to those things. So as far as trending things that you can DIY, they have a whole blog post dedicated to um, these crochet bags, and they are really beautiful bags. But I think this is something that could be made at home, and I'm definitely going to link a video of something similar. So in this Harper's Bazaar article, they talk about all these different crochet bags that are very cute and trendy for summer. Keyword trendy. Hopefully people won't be buying them for this summer and then not using them again. But these, for one example, was a Prada crochet bag that retails for $1,950. But I did find a similar DIY video by Viv Crochets. Her bags are very cute, and I love that she gives a full, DIY front to final tutorial on how to make this yourself. I think the only thing that's missing is that Prada logo. Otherwise, you can definitely make something that looks very similar, as well as be really proud that you did it yourself. Lastly, I want to end on a creativity cue for anyone who feels like they're stuck in a rut, or just to keep this motivation in your mind and keep this information in your mind that will hopefully propel creativity forward when you are entering your DIYs on that final step where it feels like it's so hard to just complete it and get it done. I listened this morning. It was perfect because as I was planning this episode, I thought I would love to arm people with just a little scientific information of how to get their brain flowing when it comes to creativity. And I opened up my podcast app, saw that Andrew Huberman had a brand new podcast called The Science and Art of Comedy and Creativity. He's interviewing and chatting with comedian Tom Segura. But something that I loved to hear, and if you've ever listened to Huberman before, you'll know that he likes to summarize scientific information and just make it a little more accessible for the regular person. But this was perfect because they were talking about creativity, and he mentioned that 90% of the effect of exercise on improving brain function comes from long form exercise. He was talking about how long form exercise raises your level of alertness and arousal. So his comparison was, this isn't, just doing quick 10 squats before you sit down to create something, which of course that wouldn't hurt you, but doing some sort of long form exercise that is more draining physically for you can really trigger levels of alertness and arousal. He also mentioned that keeping your phone in another room can increase your attention and success because our brains are always anticipating what's next, including picking up your phone. I have seen this in myself so many times. If I am trying to complete one of my sewing projects, and if I have my phone on my desk with me, I'm picking it up constantly. Even if I'm not touching it, I'm thinking about it, and it does become distracting for me. So my takeaways from his podcast and my encouragement to people who are trying to wrap up some projects, get things done, would be leave your phone in the other room. It can wait unless you're recording something, which then you're not really touching it. So I do wonder if that would also have the same trigger on your brain. Perhaps that'd be something to explore or write into him. And work out before you start crafting, before you start sewing, before you start hammering away at your next project, literally hammering away. Apparently, the research shows that, long form exercise can really help you. So I hope that these can be two takeaways. I personally did go and work out before sitting down to record this because I thought, why not? If that is going to help me stay more focused, I know that I have a deadline for myself. I know I want to create something good today. And so if that is going to help me in my creative process, then I'm going to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this. If you have made it to this point, I am just so in love with the process of creativity. And I hope that other people are able to find something that they also love doing, something they love making and creating. So if you have other creativity cues to share, things that are trending that you're pretty sure, hey, I can make this myself, a favorite DIY video, please let me know because I will definitely be back. Thanks for watching and listening.